going because that's what we do. Welcome everybody to What Keeps You Up at Night, Entrepreneurship During Challenging Times. I am Colin Weston. I am the community leader for Startup Vancouver, which is one of over 40 chapters of Startup Canada across the country. And Startup Canada is the voice for the over 3.5 million entrepreneurs in this country of ours. And as you can see from the word connect there, that is what we do with Startup Vancouver. And that's the reason we put the show together during pandemical times. And I've got a feeling the way we're rolling here, episode 38, we're going to be continuing to do this. So hey, I quickly want to kind of introduce my two fabulous co-hosts here and see how they're doing. So hey, Reza, jump on. Reza V, how you doing today, my friend?
Great, thank you for I don't know, having me again. 37 episodes. Doing great. I'm excited for what we've done and all the conversations. Yeah, another one today.
Absolutely. And Maryam, who had a couple personal things to take care of last week, so she left Reza and I to our own devices. I think we managed to struggle through last week's show okay without you, but you're back, thank goodness. So Maryam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, and I've been on Zoom since like 9 in the morning. It's just back to back. So I'm having a good time, and it's good to be, with all of you here and having some stimulating conversations coming up. So looking forward to it.
Nice, nice. Well, hopefully you don't have Zoom fatigue kick in halfway through our show. So hang in there for another 59 minutes, my friend, and then you can bonk on your Zoom fatigue after that. So, hey, I'm going to do my usual thing here and quickly share my screen. Reza, I think the last 2 weeks in a row, I've managed to do this okay. Let's see if I can go 3 for 3 here. I know this is going to be a big challenge.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, how we doing? We got everybody smiling face. Look at me. I'm actually getting better at this. Look at this. All right, go me. Points. All right, for today's show, 3 fabulous, diverse entrepreneurs from all over the country. We actually have 3 time zones represented today because our good friend Afro is hanging out in Regina, I believe, today. So we got Saskatchewan, we've got Michael, who is in Toronto, and James, who is with us, I believe, in North Van, so in Greater Vancouver here. So yes, we're going to be talking to Michael, Afro, and James today about all the great things that they are doing in many different diverse spaces here in entrepreneurship and community building. I just introduced, of course, our good friends and co-hosts, Maryam and Reza. And what I'm going to do here today with our usual segment of how you hanging in there, rather than me rambling away here, I did this with Reza, I'm going to turn it back over to Maryam and say, Maryam, how are you doing? How are you hanging in here in the last little while? Maryam, what's going on? How are you doing?
Well, it was kind of intense last week, but I'm doing good now. And I actually ordered one of those stationary bikes, so I'm really excited about those. I mean, I have a bike downstairs. I'm going to bring it upstairs. But it's just going to fix it. And it comes with a platform, which I'm really looking forward to, where you get to bike with people all around the world. So you're in this like simulation, you're biking, but yeah, virtually with everyone all around the world, just like from my place. It's exciting because we can't really go out right now. It's raining and it's getting cold. So I figure, what am I going to do with my bike? So I'm looking forward to building the community online.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I know the conversations we're going to have today with James, with what's going on in the golf industry. Golf has been flourishing around the world here due to, because it is naturally a socially distanced game here. But one thing I've been doing, this is the new thing I have, and this is not a paid announcement, but oh my goodness, with this thing, with a Theragun, this thing here, I'll even do a little demo here. This thing is absolutely amazing here. It's like, oh my goodness.
Oh my God,
this is so good. Hey, you know what? If you're working out at home or even doing it, like, amazing. Even if you're sitting here in a chair way too long, too many hours like we all do, because as they say, sitting is the new smoking. We got to get up and move around. That I strongly recommend one of these. This thing is amazing. There you go. So quickly, Startup Vancouver. If you're not connected with us yet, please do. And we are most active on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, also our LinkedIn page. Please connect with us there, where we tell you about all of our events, all the other events around not only in Vancouver, the province, and nationally that we support with all of our partners and good friends. And also with our YouTube channel, where we post every single show that we do. Like I said, number 38, and we have 3 guests each show, so do the math. So we've got over 100 guests that we've had fabulous conversations with so far this year. And next week is our last show of 2020. We're gonna have a little holiday Christmas show there, a little bit of a slant to that too. And then we're going to take a few weeks off, and then we're going to ramp back up again in early January. So thank you everyone that subscribed, everybody that's participated, all of our guests, and all of you people out there as the audience. We do it for you. And that's why we exist. And talking about our audience, we want to make this an interactive show. So, hey, after we finish up our 10 to 12 minute conversations with our guests, we want you as the audience, either in chat here on Zoom or in comments in Facebook. Please let us know what you're thinking there. You got questions for our guests here or any insights you have, let us know, because we, like I said, we want to make this interactive. Do want to quickly mention we are very honored and pleased to have as our charity partner Jack.org. And Jack.org is a national organization that supports youth mental health awareness. And they do this at a grassroots level by engaging young people as ambassadors in schools and in our communities. And we have a great connection with them. And we have the opportunity for our attendees, if you want, through Eventbrite, if you want to donate a couple of dollars to Jack.org, or even through that, and we do that on your behalf. And so far, we've raised over $700, and we're continuing to go there. So today, at the end of the show, I'm going to be speaking to James Cronk, who is the president and founder, co-founder, I should say, of Golf Industry Guru. So we're going to be talking about with James of all the good things they're doing there globally within the golf industry and the value that they're creating there by creating really master classes for golf industry professionals. In the middle here, Afro is going to be having a conversation with Reza, and I'm not going to do too much of a spoiler there, but as we found out, not only is she doing great things with Lighthouse Labs that I've known for years in community building, but there's also, Reza, I'm not going to spoil it here, there's also something else that I just learned on LinkedIn that's super fabulous that she's going to be talking about also. So there, see, I didn't spoil it. I showed some restraint for a change. I even impressed myself by not saying it. And to start the show, I'm going to hand it over to Maryam, who's going to have a conversation with Michael and all the great things that he is doing and his team with Age Well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And Maryam, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Colin. Michael, it's a pleasure to meet you. And you know, I want to learn more about Age Well, and I know that you're creating like technologies and services that benefit older adults and caregivers. Obviously, it was really important prior to COVID, what the work that you were doing, but I'm assuming like even more so now. So maybe if you could, you know, shed some light about the work that you're doing during this time, and some of the stories that you could share with us too would be really great.
Sure. So nice to meet you as well, Maryam, and thanks for having me on. I'll start by a little bit of an overview on Age Well. As you mentioned, we are a network that supports innovation and technology benefiting older adults and caregivers. We are federally funded and have been around for about 6 years at this point. We fund research and innovation in the space, in large part through universities across Canada. And we, in addition to that, also work with startups. So we have our own startup affiliate program in what we call the age tech space, and have over 45 startups, Canadian startups at this point, that work with us to develop innovations for older adults and caregivers. And of course, we work with a lot of great partners to help achieve our mission across industry, not-for-profit, and government. And that's something we continue to do, including with Startup Canada recently, who we partnered with to launch an age tech startup community for Canadian entrepreneurs and startups that are looking to improve life for older adults. Now, you had mentioned what we're doing now these days. So of course, like everyone, you know, COVID led to a pivot for us and a lot of members in our network. So we've been working hard to find ways to impact those parts and those sectors that you've heard often about when it comes to COVID and the impact that it has had. So that includes trying to see how technologies we funded might have a beneficial impact in long-term care and senior living. as well as helping people stay connected. So we found, with a lot of lockdowns, social isolation is a challenge for everyone. And of course, as you may imagine, for some older adults, it can be an even more dangerous, in some case, challenge to navigate. And so we've been working with our researchers who we fund to see how they can maybe pivot and change some of the work they're doing to make benefits here. And we've been working with the startups as well. As an example, one of the startups we worked with and they had initially developed a wearable wristband that could be implemented in a senior living facility to help identify where a person may be if they're in trouble, if they had a fall, or if they need to tell staff that they need help. And what they ended up doing when they pivoted with their technology is they realized it could be used for contact tracing within a facility to help control outbreaks. So you might imagine someone came into a long-term care site, they ended up testing positive for COVID. Who did they interact with? Where did they spend time? So with that kind of technology, you can see where they were, who they interacted with, and how much time they spent there. And we're seeing a lot of those kinds of shifts in the way entrepreneurs and innovators approach their technologies to try to help older adults during COVID.
That's brilliant. And how do they find you? Do you, I mean, you're also connected to universities as you were mentioning, right? Um, and
Yeah.
how do, can you like let me know if someone wants, they have an idea, they're working in the edge, age tech industry, and they want to get in touch. What are the different ways that they get connected with you?
Yeah, so I would say most often it ends up being through our website. So they would go to agewell-nce.ca, and we have different ways that people sign up as members of our network. So either some may just want information through a newsletter, but some reach out to us to become members, either members as industry members, or startups will reach out to see if they can be a part of the startup affiliate program. And researchers, well, we put out calls for grants, a few times a year normally, but these are normal times. Having said that, that's usually how they will, if they aren't already in the network, how they will reach out to us.
So that was brilliant. What you were talking about with the wearable tech. Are there any other stories that you can share with us that came out of some of these startups that you're working with? They decided to pivot and focus their technology towards something that's serving like COVID as well, like addressing some of the issues like around elderly and shopping, or yeah.
Yeah, so the other one I could mention, so the first one was actually Tenera Care, and they're a company out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Another one that's actually more relevant to staying connected in the community is FamilyNet. And they're actually a startup that spun out of research we funded a few years ago. And what they did is they developed kind of a messaging and communications app, which they co-created with older adults. And that's an important part of what we do. We make sure that older adults are engaged in the development of innovations from the early stages. So not just kind of as test participants at the end, but to give their input throughout. And FamilyNet developed that platform with older adult input, which allows an older adult to communicate with others, including their family. And it has things like built-in translation. So for intergenerational communication, let's say grandchild may not be as comfortable with the native language of their grandparent, it can do things like automatically translate their voice messages or things they type in to help increase that sense of connection and community.
I love that. I love the whole customer centric approach rather than, working for like 3 months or 4 months and then here you go. So that's really great that they have access to that kind of feedback. And are there anything that that has come up because, between communication with grandparents and grandkids who are living apart? Have you seen, have you worked on any technologies or research relating to that?
Well, I mean that's the one that would come to mind first. I mean, we have different research projects, and I'll be the first to say, my role at AgeWell is business development and industry relations, so I'm not always in the know on all the specifics of the research programs, but I do know we have funded different research programs to help people stay connected in the community, including developing kind of storytelling how technology can play a role in storytelling that increases connection between elders and younger people in indigenous communities. So, we've seen, and this is actually going back to the customer-centric point of view. We understand that, no technology is going to be kind of a one-size-fits-all that can solve problems for all older adults or caregivers. And, we often try to engage with the stakeholders to make sure that, we can take the right approach and learn early on.
Yeah, and yeah, I love it. And how have you been managing it during this time, the past, how long has it been now? 8 months, 9 months? I lost track.
Yeah, well, depends if you're talking about me personally in this
Yeah.
case. Well, I have two young kids at home, so a 15-month-old and a 4-year-old. So it's definitely been an adjustment. I have to find routines, and luckily, I don't think we'll hear them today. They're on a different floor of the house, but they're usually pretty respectful. We found the routines to make things work, and we get together with friends or with work colleagues by by Zoom or other ways, but we try to find games, things to keep ourselves connected that way. And we're everyone's struggling in their own way, but I will say we try to take the positive out of it. It's been great to get more time with my kids and see them grow up at this age, which they go through so much so quickly. So
For
that's
sure.
my positive.
One last thing before we open it up to, our audience and also our co-hosts to see if there are any questions. Is there anything in particular that is an ask or anything that you like to share with our community at this time?
I think mainly, especially given who I'm speaking with here, I really encourage entrepreneurs and startups or people who have an idea to reach out to us, and we would like to make you a part of the startup community I mentioned earlier that we're partnering with Startup Canada on, because what we're trying to do is bring more attention to the innovators in the space. There are a lot of people who have developed innovations in healthcare and other spaces where maybe they haven't thought as much about the impact it can have on older adults. And we want to be as inclusive as possible and bring all those different entrepreneurs together, draw attention to them, and find ways to share knowledge and lessons learned within that community and support it, so that overall will obviously improve life for older Canadians, but also, kind of keep making Canada a leader in this space globally.
And thank you for that. And just to get in touch with you, what would be the best way? Just go through your website or
Yeah, you can go through our website. We also have a dedicated email for startups specifically, which is startups@agewell-nce.ca. So you can definitely go that way. We are on social media as well. So I mean, those are Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So there are lots of ways to engage with Agewell.
So these are like technologies that have already been developed, except that it's not catering to your customer segment, and you have like so much knowledge about the area, uh, elderly and caregivers, obviously, and to see how you can take that same technology and cater it, use it for your demographic, right?
Yeah. So whether you haven't done that or whether you have an idea to do that you're just developing, our doors are open to engage with you.
Amazing. Well, we'll be sure to share that email address in the chat and also on Facebook as well. And thank you so much. I'm going to open it up. Colin, are there any questions?
Yeah, great. So I'll jump in first, Reza, before you do here. Michael, thank you for that. I'm so glad that our friends at Startup Canada connected us as part of this 7-week series. So 7 weeks in a row, we've had another startup or another group that we are connected with Startup Canada from across the country jump on the show. Because once again, what we do, it's all about connections here. We want to make this a national show and showcase entrepreneurs in different sectors all across the country here. So thank you for that. I have already included in the chat here on Zoom and also on Facebook, the AgeWell website link there. And also if people want to get in touch with you, Michael, through LinkedIn there. So Michael, when Afro and Reza are talking, perhaps in chat, you can then put in that email address that you talked about so anybody can reach out to you there. I did see on Facebook, we have Narissa, who was one of our guests last week, Narissa Allen, and she asked this question, Michael. She says, I am on the board of the Barbados Cultural Association of BC, nonprofit, with many senior members. We've been struggling to keep them connected through this COVID time. they feel very isolated. Is there something specific you can recommend that we can look into? So perhaps, I know you talked about a lot of things, but maybe just drill down on one thing that Narissa and their group can look into.
Yeah, well, first of all, Narissa, please do feel free to reach out, and we can obviously talk in more detail about any of these. Now, I mentioned FamilyNet as a way to keep people connected, across generations, but within their community as well. And that's FamilyNet. I'll try to share that in the chat as well. We have other kind of startups that are in our space that are doing things like developing friendship networks for older adults, where maybe they need to reach out and have other older adults in their community with similar interests, connect with them and find activities they can do together, which I know can be challenging now, but at least you can have ways to connect with people. And I believe they also have various resources they share there with their community. So I'd be happy to share information about those and find out a little bit more about specific needs you may have in mind, to see if we can connect you with anyone that can help your community.
Amazing. So yeah, if you put that in chat here, I'll copy and paste that, put it over on Facebook, and then Narissa will be connected to you then too, Michael. That's great. Hey, Reza, you want to jump in? You got anything that you would like to bounce off Michael?
I just wanted to say, as I was listening, I wish Michael and John were on the same show, because
Right.
2 shows ago, John, if I'm pronouncing this right, Hamblin, he is very active in that community. So that would have been an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I know John actually quite
Perfect.
well. He's a great advocate, and he's doing a lot of great work on smart home technology and working with older adults.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right.
Awesome.
Well, once again, Michael, Maryam, thank you for that conversation. And we really appreciate, once again, Startup Canada for connecting us to you, Michael, and all the great things that you're doing with AgeWell. And why don't we just move on here, and we'll have our next conversation. So Afro, Reza, you two, take it away.
Hi, Afro. Thank you for joining our show. I'm going to jump into it. I'm on your LinkedIn, and I see 2 things in your tagline that I don't know. It fits nicely. I've never seen it beside each other. Improv comedian and government relations specialist. Two complete different side of you. Let's dig into it. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the Lighthouse Labs and government relations in that aspect. And tell us a little bit about improv comedian part of you and how that started.
Totally. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I absolutely love connecting with Startup Vancouver. It's been a great partnership for a few years now. So I started at Lighthouse Labs as an intern in 2018. And then kind of worked as a community manager for the last couple of years, and most recently in March moved more into government relations. Still, I like to say everything comes back to community management, no matter what role you're in. It's the same deal. It's just working with different types of partners. So working with different not-for-profits to work to run impact initiatives at Lighthouse Labs, which is what we've done kind of throughout this year. That's been really exciting. We had a partnership with it was funded by the Government of Canada under the Digital Skills for Youth program. So it's a wage subsidy program that connected underemployed post-secondary grads with digital employment opportunities at small businesses. So that was, just an example. We've done some work with soldiers in tech and getting soldiers and veterans have the opportunity to get trained up. So those just different kinds of initiatives working with the government to bring training opportunities as people are shifting to the new digital age. And I'm sure we could all agree that COVID kind of catapulted forward the future of work, whatever the future of work means now. We're in it. So been working with those impact initiatives on the government side, and that's been really fun. In terms of improv, I know it's so opposite, but I do like to say, like, I keep any skills that I've learned through improv, I take it with me to any job that I've had. It's only kind of made me better in my jobs. I started off improv training when I was 16 in Chicago at the Second City. So that's where I initially learned how to do improv, and then did improv throughout UBC for 4 years. Took a bit of a break once I started Lighthouse, and just kind of wanted to figure out what the startup tech world was all about. We've all definitely been there, and it's been amazing. And most recently joined a company called Tightrope Impro Theater. And Tightrope Impro Theater is a new theater that just started this year. I kind of came on board in September. I just reached out to them one day and said, please let me do something with you. The community manager and me was just like, I'm just going to reach out. They were fantastic. And basically, it's an interesting time to be involved in the arts. Let me just say that. I think that the arts have saved me through everything. They are kind of what keeps me going, whether it be music or theater, specifically improv. And what Tightrope is doing is we're teaching virtual improv classes in different segments. So we have partnerships work with the BC Brain Health Center to do improv for people with Parkinson's, which has been a fantastic course that we've done virtually. Wow. We're also doing improv for performers, so if you are a performer. But what my kind of domain, along with Dan Dumsha, is improv for the workplace. So improv for public speaking courses or improv for interviewing. So we've been teaching that remotely, helping people add improv skills into their day-to-day lives to be better public speakers, be better listeners, stuff like that. Unfortunately, we can't do, obviously, shows at the moment due to the restrictions, and I really hope everyone is at home staying safe. I moved to be close with my parents during this time to support and kind of staying inside. So I hope we're all doing that. But once we do open up again next year or whenever that may be, we'll have some improv shows, which will be fun.
That's awesome you mentioned, because I remember last year I went to this workshop, and it was about communication, public speaking, fun at workplace. And the idea was, as much as you may not think productivity goes up, but it does. The studies has shown when you communicate better, when you have fun, when you're building better relationships at work, it's a great thing that you brought up, and I 100% agree. I want to go back to your work in Lighthouse Labs, okay? Because you're in the midst of all the conversations. I want to get to know what's the government's plan, or what are the stuff they're doing, because there's a real shift towards either we are talking about AI or we are talking about digital education, like being tech savvy. Where is the government's position? Are they worried? Are they comfortable in terms of like Canada's leading this? Where is the work talent or the people in the country? Where are they at? How much work do we need to do? What's the conversation around that?
Totally. So right now, I'm not going to speak for any government officials, for I don't actually talk with, MPs or anything like that. But what's been really great is there's been opportunities for different provinces are asking for feedback on how to shape their budgets for 2021 and where that goes. And so it's been great to be able to be a part of that, to talk about the importance of investing into reskilling for Canadians. I think that's the biggest thing right now. From all the labor market information I've been looking at, is that Canada, although we have a high unemployment rate like the rest of the world, there are technical jobs, and we haven't seen, the tech industry in terms of jobs has recovered. I believe as of more than a few months ago, and adding more jobs. We're seeing Shopify's adding 1,000, Thinkific, all those companies are really growing quite rapidly. Slack just got acquired, we saw that. So there is this kind of new way at looking at how we retrain people and reskill, and I think that the government, I mean, with this Digital Skills for Youth program, which was fantastic, it was designed to work with a consortium of different digital skills training institutions to help skill up people immediately and get that talent out there, and help businesses have a subsidy to hire and to keep that mentorship. So I think, I think Canada, like every country, we all have a lot of work to do. I think it's trending in the right direction for retraining and reskilling. And, with some of the impact initiatives that we're doing, we are seeing that we can collaborate well with the government to train people who need it and are most affected by COVID-19 too.
This brought up, I'm just curious, as soon as we started the conversation, I got really lots of questions came into my mind, because when we are talking about reskilling, there is, in terms of skills in general, there's the education system that, people, the kids learning how to code, how to be tech savvy from youth, all the way to reskilling the existing workforce. And there are government programs, there are companies that do it for their employees. Like I'm sure Shopify keeps, updating their workforce. And then I look at the startups like myself, we don't have the resources to reskill people. We want the skilled people to begin with. So who is leading in this? Which are the companies or organizations that are not waiting for government to do something? They're just leading in terms of reskilling their workforce.
Right. So I guess maybe just to back up with that reskilling, I also want to add the notion of upskilling, which is, you have your marketing team and they need to be a little bit more digitally literate. So you create a program for them to do part-time so that they can add front-end skills. And I mean, we're seeing a lot of companies really wanting that upskilling component, and we've been able, Lighthouse Labs, that's what we offer, is that upskilling and reskilling. And of course, there are some major players that are buying into the notion of the reskilling, upskilling. Microsoft has their programs. Google is slowly putting out their certifications where, you do their certifications and then you work there. Shopify, I think, has their own dev program where you work with Shopify throughout your undergrad or something like that. I actually don't know the specifics, but those big players are saying, okay, this is how we can train talent the way we want it and move up with it. In terms of startups, though, we totally recognize that as difficult because it costs money. It costs money, and we did a Vancouver Startup Week panel on this, and this definitely came up, and we just basically what we came up with was there's other ways to reskill or upskill that don't cost money. So it's having mentors, getting that mentorship, or free events, free learn to code resources, stuff like that. And then but again, it can be tough, and we totally understand that, and that's why we're working with the government to kind of offer that. Nice. But it's nice to see the narrative change from you must have an undergrad degree and then you're in your job for however long to every year or so companies taking a look at their employees and then offering keeping them relevant by partnering with continuing education programs at universities and partnering with us.
Nice. What is one thing, I want to wrap it up and hand it to Colin. What is one thing that you guys are doing at Lighthouse Lab, or you're doing in your life right now, improv comedian or the government relation, that you want people to know and you want people to reach out to you for?
Yeah, I would love for people to reach out to me if they are interested in gaining access to more reskilling and upskilling opportunities, whether the companies have the money or not, just to be a part of our conversations, to come chat with us about that. And I guess if your company is looking for a virtual holiday party, we're doing them at Improv. Nice. So, and we've booked quite a few. So if you're looking for that from an HR perspective, you just reach out to me about that, and happy to chat about it.
And to lastly, what's the ideal size company that you guys are seeing to benefit from the programs?
For Lighthouse?
Yeah. The improv one, I think, regardless of the size, they're gonna benefit. Doesn't matter what size. Everybody needs a virtual holiday.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would say just reach out regardless, to just talk about the programs that we have. And I'm always looking to partner with community organizations to work, such as the impact initiatives that we have on our website. If you check those out, I'm always looking for different community organizations to partner with to help certain people get reskilled in the community. So awesome. Definitely no limit. We're kind of open to any types of collaboration. That's kind of been the year, right? So
awesome. Amazing. Thank you for the conversation. I'm gonna hand it to Maryam and Colin. Take it away.
Nice. See, I thought I knew somebody, I've known Afro for a couple of years now, and this whole improv thing, I didn't know you had this second life. I find it fascinating. Where Reza was talking about, you got entrepreneurship over here, you've got improv over there, and maybe they're two completely dissimilar things. But I think you'll agree with this, Afro. I think they're kind of intertwined in such an interesting way. And I took one improv class a couple of years ago down at Granville Islands. I'm not going to say I'm at your level at all, but the reason I did it was to get more comfortable, whether it's podcasting or other things, is to be more engaged. And one thing I love about the improv experience and kind of the rules and the gambit that you have there, just like with successful entrepreneurs. And that's this notion of you don't dead end someone by saying no, but it's always a yes and to continue on the conversation and to extend that. And I think entrepreneurship is so aligned with that. So I'm sure you felt that too in your experience, that there's a lot of commonalities between improv and entrepreneurship.
Totally. I think everyone should take a class in their life and just to kind of get comfortable with being a little uncomfortable and see where it takes you.
Nice. And we do talk about that as part of the entrepreneurial experience, is becoming comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. And we talk about it also. It's like, you don't want pain. Pain means things are breaking, but discomfort means that things are changing, things are reshaping, things are evolving. Yeah. So embrace your discomfort. Take it from Afro.
Love it.
She obviously loves the world of uncomfortability, which is not a word, but I'm being improvisational here. Hey, Maryam, do you want to jump in and add anything?
Yeah. I was curious to know if there's like vocal training involved with improv as well. Is that, I mean, I haven't done it. Is that something that you guys work on as well?
Like, do you mean singing or just the way you speak? Like
the way you speak, the way you project.
Yeah,
your voice,
totally. Oh yeah, absolutely. We do in one of our courses, we do a what's the word I'm looking for? This is where I need to improvise. Activity, where you say a paragraph and someone is watching you intensely, and then they say, okay, you really ended your sentences by going up a lot. It's a very thing that we do in Canada, and like you were shy, or you sounded this tone, and so we definitely focus on that quite a bit, and we analyze the way other people, politicians are a great example of the way they speak and kind of how they do it and take from there. So it's cool.
That's definitely something I want to work on. This is pretty great. So where would I sign up?
So you could just go to tightropetheater.com and just connect with me on LinkedIn and we'll chat.
There we go. I've already put the link to Tightrope in both Facebook and Zoom. See, I'm actually one step ahead for a change. Look at me. There we go. See,
Thank you so much.
That's the benefit of this. See, this is paying off. Obviously, it's stimulating my brainstem or something. There you go. Good stuff. So, Afro, it's so good to see you again. I really look forward in 2021 for us to collaborate through Lighthouse Labs and perhaps also through Tightrope now too, with all the good things that you're doing there. I know we had big plans in January, February of how we were going to collaborate and the things and kind of build on our 2019 collaborations in 2020. So I really am glad that you're able to jump on here before the end of the year so we can kind of bring ourselves together during these challenging times. So thank you for spending time with us today, Maryam. excuse me, Reza, I don't know, with your flashing lights there. Thank you for leading the conversation there. Really enjoyed that. And now I'm going to take it over here and have Mr. James Cronk jump on. And James is the president, but he's also the co-founder of Golf Industry Guru, or GIG as they like to be known. And they provide online education for golf course owners and operators around the world to bring together the most successful golf and hospitality industry leaders. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to give it a shot here, James, before you jump on and tell me I'm wrong or didn't get it quite right here, as you sound very much like you're doing, I love masterclass. I love that. We're doing it for cocktails and some other things to learn. It sounds like you're creating the masterclass platform for the golf industry. Is that fair to say, James?
Sure, that's a good example. I mean, masterclass is a master version of that kind of training. But I will say to Afro, before I got in the golf business, I was an actor for a living. And I could definitely give a course on how to not make money as an actor in the acting business. There's no doubt about it. And it's the same thing, you know, as Afro said, it's a great lesson, and all of you interested in things like improvisation, communication, being a good speaker, training, educating, getting people to listen. These are all skills no matter what your business is. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to get people to believe in your passion project, whatever that is, your speaking skills and your sales skills and your communication skills are critically important. And Colin, I would say that what we're doing with Golf Industry Guru is a version of Masterclass, sure, but it's an online training platform for the golf industry.
Yes, and for people out there, they know that a lot of people know that I'm involved in the golf industry also, and maybe let people know how big this industry is, because some people think, oh, golf, it's on the decline, it's not that big, but I know the numbers in North America, it's $100 billion a year industry. So perhaps you can talk to us just as far as the numbers of what there is. And I want to get into this as far as your entrepreneurship journey of going from someone, not only your acting background, but also your involvement in the golf industry for decades now, how you and Scott, who I see Scott has also jumped on as an attendee. Scott, how you doing there as your co-founder? How you decided to take that entrepreneurial leap of faith, or seeing there was actual value here rather than this being a cool idea, and move that forward. So let's start with the first thing, that as far as the golf industry, the size of the market and seeing the opportunity and the offering for potential customers out there with Golf Industry Guru.
Yeah, well, thanks, Colin. I appreciate that. And it's, by the way, it's great to be here, and it's great to connect with the other panelists and to hear everybody's conversation, everybody's journey today. So thanks so much for having me. You're right. If you're a golfer, if you're an active golfer, you might have some idea about what the industry is all about. Otherwise, you just think it's a bunch of old white guys chasing around a ball. But that's not the truth. Golf, Canada has the highest participation rate of golf in the world, number one. Many people don't understand that. In Canada, it's a $14 billion industry within Canada. There's 2,500 golf courses. There's we used to have participation rate above 30% of Canadians played golf at least once a year. That number certainly has declined until last year. Who'd have known that a pandemic would be the boost in the arm to generate incredible growth in the golf industry. In Canada last year, in 2020, this past season, golf was up over 25%, almost 30% of increase of rounds of golf in the country. And that was similar around the world, because golf obviously is something that is able to be done during a pandemic, socially distancing, being outside, et cetera, et cetera. My journey started, when I decided I couldn't make it as an actor, Colin, and at least I could make it. I just couldn't pay the rent. That was the problem. I decided to do something else. I've been very lucky to do things that I love. I got in the golf business after a while in the restaurant business, actually, with Earl's Restaurants, and I decided I wanted to improve that and get on the golf side of it. So I've been a club manager. I've been in the golf business for a couple decades. One of the things interesting about the golf business, when you think about 2,500 courses in Canada, it's literally like 2,500 entrepreneurs running their own facility. There's no cookie cutter version of how a golf course is operated, number one. Number two is like many businesses, it's got many different moving parts. If you want to run a golf facility, you own a golf facility, well, you got to know how to grow grass and cut grass and how to make burgers and how to sell golf equipment and how to teach the game and how to, deal with environmental issues and then HR and all kinds of stuff, budgeting, marketing, sales, forecasting. So it's a complicated business, and there's no university for golf. There's no you take a course and all of a sudden you know how to run a golf club. I mean, there's obviously education out there. There are different golf management programs, but it's sitting in a classroom is not the same as doing it. So I've been a consultant for the last kind of decade or so, I guess 12 years I've been on my own. I've been very lucky to travel around the world. I noticed you had a Lisa Gaudette on your on this Startup Vancouver session a while ago. And I actually was speaking with Lisa. I was at a conference in India in November. We both shared the stage and gave a presentation. So normally I would be traveling all over the place talking to people about the game of golf. And I wish I could say that the pandemic caused me to pivot to online training. But this idea came about 4 years ago. And for me, I realized that as a consultant and a trainer and a coach, there's just one of me. I can only charge so many hours a day. I can only charge so much money. I can only be flown for X number of dollars and stay in X many hotel rooms. It's just me. So I kind of wanted to take my business online. And I was very fortunate about a year ago to connect with a longtime business partner that we've done many projects with together, Scott Massey. And I like to say that I'm the dreamer and Scott's the doer. So he's always been excellent at getting stuff done. And so we've been doing this online training, creating this kind of platform for the last year. And when COVID hit, I guess the way I would finish it off in this statement would be is that when we started our Golf Industry Guru concept, probably 65% of our clientele around the world had never heard of Zoom before. It had never heard of online training before. And now when we're talking to a golf course in Asia or in France or in Timbuktu, well, they've all now got some understanding about what it means to learn on your computer or on your phone, or how to do masterclass, kind of just like masterclass. There's so many people now know about things like masterclass or Trainial or all these different types of organizations that have pivoted to be able to deliver their stuff online. So I wish I could say that we saw this coming, but I'm hoping that our timing is just really good.
Well, it seems to me that it is, as unfortunate and terrible as the pandemic has been in so many areas of our lives. But it seems like for what you're developing, one of our first guests, a good friend of Startup Canada, Rivers Corbett, out of New Brunswick, his new entrepreneurial endeavor is called Cheftorial. So doing with chefs, very much what you are doing with in the golf industries, and he's thriving also. So it seems like your timing is really good, and love to hear how you and Scott are not necessarily pivoting. It seems like now you're just amplifying your efforts. But before I get into that, one thing I looking through your material and talking to you previously, seems like you really honed in on, well, a couple of factors. That the golf industry, as we both know, this massive industry, as far as innovation, has been a laggard, very far behind and resistant in a lot of cases. But you also appeal to younger people in the industry coming up within operating and managing golf courses, as far as millennials and younger, and they don't want to read books. They don't want to sit in classrooms and have passive experiences. So can you talk about that as far as your validation or your customer discovery, as far as the content to create and how people wanted to consume that to add value, especially with a younger generation coming up in the golf industry?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, and something that I wish I was getting younger, but I'm not. And so, as I said, partnering with Scott, he's younger than I am, but we work very hard at trying to make sure that we're keeping in mind our target audience and our market. And one of our sales pitches is our ability to go to, generally speaking, a golf course manager, a club owner, the reality is it's going to be a 60-year-old male. I mean, that's just the person that has got to that part of the industry. There's 35,000 golf courses in the country, in the world, sorry, which means there's 35,000 potential people to buy our product. That's it. But they're trying to find ways to train that 20-year-old and that 23-year-old. And they don't want to sit, first of all, no longer can sit in a room with 50 of them at a time and be trained and talk about customer service or overcoming objections or sales. So they're trying to find ways to train young people or younger people. And we follow some of those best practices. You know, our courses, for example, are in little 50-minute segments, chapters. So there might be 30 chapters, but they're in 10 to 15-minute little sections. Number one, you know, you can start and stop. So no matter where you are in whatever our platform is, you know, you can pause and then come back 3 days later and restart again. We can track a usage, so I can go to an owner. Every membership comes with 10 profiles for all their staff, and we can go to the owner, the person that writes that check every month, and say, hey, you know, Billy watched 14 hours of safety training last month, and Susie watched 42 hours of safety training. So, you know, let's figure out how we can get Billy to do more. So what I would say, Colin, probably the best example, when I came up with this idea 4 years ago, there was not the technology that allowed me to build a platform like this on my own that wouldn't have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the example I give is my son used to go take drumming lessons down the street with a fellow and paid $90 an hour to be taught the drums. A year ago, I signed him up for a platform called Drummio, which teaches online drumming with the best drummers from around the world for $500 for a year. And he now consumes his drum lessons 24/7 whenever he wants to. He's learned more on Drummio on that platform. So there's amazing technology that allows what we follow is this kind of strategy of, if you're an expert at something, doesn't matter what you're an expert at, there's a way to take your expertise online where you all of a sudden can have clients in Thailand when you used to be able to have a client down the street. You know, now anyone can be a client.
Nice, nice. So it sounds like you are on your way to solving the consultant's dilemma or the thought leader's dilemma, where, like you said, there's only one of you. That business model don't scale very well. So creating this platform of bringing other people on, and for our audience here, and also for my two hosts and also our other guests, is the fact you have gurus.
I just lost Colin. Did anyone?
I think that we lost Colin. What happened, Colin? Your voice completely gone, but you're not on mute.
Are you? Can you hear me now?
Now it's good. Now it's good.
Okay.
Turn the microwave on.
Who knows? I was going to say in the house here, we may have more than one person actually on the Wi-Fi. But if you can hear me now, I will keep going if I can remember my thought, which I may. Oh yes, what I was saying there is the fact that as far as that consultant's dilemma, how do you scale yourself from a unit of one up? And you're creating the platform to do that, and you're creating by creating this content with other gurus, is not just yourself. And for people out there, you don't just focus on people from the golf industry. I think your strength is the fact you pull in people from all these other industries and areas of expertise that could help out. Perhaps someone like, I don't know, Afro on improv can bring that in, or maybe even the things that Lighthouse Labs are doing, and even what Michael's doing. I'm sure there's all kinds of other things or people that you're looking to pull in. Perhaps you can talk about that as far as the insights that you've seen, some of the real value you add is by getting gurus that are not in the golf industry to bring in their expertise and how you can infuse that within the golf industry itself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, here's the one thing I've learned. As I mentioned, I've been able to travel around the world and meet some incredibly brilliant people that are in the golf world space. And so I'm able to take advantage of their knowledge and share that with our audience. And I like to say that we're the appetizer and they're the entree. So when someone comes to our platform and sees a podcast or a webinar with consultant Bill Sanderson from England, if they want to delve deeper into Bill's concepts of strategic planning, et cetera, well, then they go off to Bill and they hire him and do whatever they want to do. That's a win-win-win as far as we're concerned. So that's number one. Number two is people I've found are so willing to share their knowledge and expertise in a mentoring way without asking for anything in return. So people that are knowledgeable about any topic are interested in talking about it and sharing about it. So we provide that platform, whether it's through a webinar, through a course, through a podcast, through templates, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, I would say that as we all know, in any workplace, good communication is good communication. It doesn't matter whether you're the hospital business or the tech business or the aging business or the improv business. Good communication skills is something that everyone can learn from. So we seek out gurus that have something to share. And our philosophy is, if it's going to help our business be better, then we use it. We don't do anything that's selling. We don't talk about like, here's the best golf shoe versus this golf shoe. We don't talk about who won the PGA Tour last week. We don't talk about stuff that is irrelevant to that operator simply making more money or running their business better. And as you can imagine, the topics that you can explore are never ending, especially when you look at, from an HR standpoint, we talk about things like mental health. You talk about jack.org. When we talk about what employers now need to provide to their employees with regards to personal development, with regards to things like, for example, on our platform, you can download a harassment policy and put your logo on it and send it out to all your employees. So I can tell you that of the 2,500 golf courses in Canada, 2,500 of them do not have a harassment policy. They're lucky if they have a checklist for closing up at the end of the night, because it's like lots of mom and pop stuff. So those are the types of information that we can bring from other parts of the world that are not specific to golf, but everyone can benefit from.
Nice. So the last thing I wanted to ask you before I open it up here is, on this 4-year journey, where you are now as far as a business to business marketplace with your business model as compared to what you and Scott first thought of 4 years ago. Is it the same, or has it changed just through customer validation and listening, as you put out there, the power of listening and then acting on that? Where you are now with your business model and your pricing model, has it changed at all, or has it stayed the same?
Drastically changed.
If you would have said the same, you would have been the first entrepreneur that ever said that. So for the entrepreneurs out there, to let them know that that's part of the journey that reveals itself. So what tip would you give to entrepreneurs watching today as they're on that journey? Let's say even if they're that journey where you were 4 years ago, what things that should they be doing with talking to potential customers or partners so that they can become better informed and have a better chance of success?
I think it's important, and this is nothing original, I think it's important to make sure that you deliver what your customer wants and not what you want. And you have to do that through listening and through understanding that what you think might be a great idea, it might be a great idea, but it also might need to be tweaked in order to make it a saleable idea. and what I mentioned, how it's drastically changed, the concept itself is the same, online training, but the pricing model and the way that we built it and the way technology is now being able to be used, and getting feedback and taking our time, getting feedback from our peers to make sure that what we're creating is what they want and not what we think they need. Those are all. So I would say that's number one. You have to always be open to the fact that it's not a straight line. It's number one, it's not a straight line. And number two is, it's like anything. What are your values? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? You know, if it's just, I want to sell something and make money, well, that's rarely going to work. You know, it's Elon Musk didn't start off to become the richest man in the world. He started off to create a product that was going to change driving a car. So I think you know, it's really important to always keep checking yourself back into some of those reasons why you're an entrepreneur in the first place. Is the process, not the outcome. I think that's what I'm learning, at least.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that insight. So we are at the top of the hour, but you know, we can run a minute or two over here. I did want to open it up to Maryam and Reza. I don't know if in chat or if there's any questions, or if my good friends here, they're not in the golf industry, so all this stuff is new for them. But I just want to put it out there to my co-host there, if they had anything that they want to add or put out there for James.
I'm just really fascinated by your story and how it has evolved. It's definitely a lot of lessons there. And I'm sorry, I'm just wondering, what is I'm not finding the link to the platform for some reason.
Golfindustryguru.com.
Okay, I guess you did.
I see Reza put it in there, so there you go.
Oh, okay.
He's got it. Awesome.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to have a look. And what are some of the, let's say, your competitors in the marketplace, or like inspirations that you draw from different sort of, you know, online?
Well, we don't
programs.
Our inspiration has actually been outside of our space. There really is not anything within the golf industry that is that's as forward thinking, I would say, as what we're providing. There's certainly some good online training things. If you look at Trainial, or you look at you know, different types of platforms that allow employee training, HR downloads, different things like that. But we follow, actually, to be honest, there's a couple out of England called the Membership Guys. Mm-hmm. And they actually have a platform. Once again, if you want to teach people how to knit cat sweaters, well, they have a step-by-step guide on how to take your business online to create a membership site to teach people how to create cat sweaters. And I know we're all giggling about that, but there's a lady in Texas that has about 10,000 members that pay her $10 a month to teach people how to make a cat sweater every other week. So you'd be shocked to know, well, some people have created online businesses. There's a fellow that teaches card tricks, and he has thousands and thousands of members to teach them card tricks, and he charges them $20 a month. Wow. That's how you scale when you're a consultant.
That's pretty amazing. And it adds up. It's only $20, but you know, you open it up to the global community, right?
Well, our platform is $79 a month US. And you know, a plane ticket for me is $5,000, normally speaking. So there's your option.
There you go.
You know, it's like, there's your option. So it's not difficult to kind of convince. And that was another thing. We priced our model. Our strategy is priced on volume, because we have to produce the content whether we have one client or we have 2,000.
Right.
Oh, there we go. I think we can keep going here, but why don't we wrap things up here, because we're a couple of minutes over. So one thing I love that James said, especially when you're talking to customers and partners, to tie this all together, remember, yes and, not no but, right? There's a little improv nugget of wisdom for the day, thanks to Afro and all the good things that she's doing there. So as I mentioned, next week will be our final show of 2020. I'll be wearing my best Christmas outfit. I won't spoil what that'll be, but I'll be wearing something in fine form that I like to put on there. So don't worry, it is safe for work, all good. And with that, Reza, why don't I hand it over to you, my friend, to close today's show.
Oh, Reza's on mute.
He is on mute. Oh my goodness.
That's the phrase. That's a phrase in 2020. We have to respect the whole culture. Again, another Tuesday, lunchtimes, spend it with us. It's funny. We always say take a break with lunchtime. We don't have any drinks or lunch or anything in front of us. We should Colin be more casual about it. So we're inviting people to take their lunch breaks with us every Tuesday, except during the holiday. And then we're back in January. Next week, join us for the last show of 2020 at 12 o'clock.
Thank you.
So much. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Have a great holiday.
You too.
you.
Bye.